I've got a confession to make. I've recently been binge watching Super Nanny. Now, she was on television several years ago, but her videos on YouTube are still being watched by millions of people, which quite honestly I find a bit scary because her attitudes, her behavior towards children, even the way that she speaks about them and to them are very old fashioned. They're pretty disrespectful and they hinge very much on rewarding children for behaviors that the grown ups want and making them suffer emotionally and physically for behaviors that are not wanted. Now, some of us might think, well, what the hell's wrong with that? That's exactly what we are trying to do with children. But it's how we do it that is the problem. Just because we're physically bigger and our brains are more developed and we're more powerful, we have power over children, especially these are young children generally that she works with. So they can't escape in any way, shape, or form from whatever the adults decide to impose on them. So, quite frankly, what you see in many of the clips are children being dragged across rooms and dumped on stools, on spots on the corner, on whatever, wherever the naughty designated area is. They get repeatedly dragged to, many of them, and dumped there until sobbing they manage to get the word sorry out. And so long as it's of an acceptable sincerity and quality, bearing in mind they're nearly at the point where they're being sick, some of these children, then they're allowed to hug the person who's just been dragging them around the room, and it's all good. So, why on earth are we watching stuff like this? Why on earth are we thinking this is a great way to raise children? Well, I think sometimes it comes from desperation. I know myself when my son was little, I thought that taking a super nanny approach of, you have to have some time out now, or you need to go there and calm down, seemed kinder than yelling, hitting, shaming in any other ways. But in fact, it still causes a child emotional distress because they get a sense that they have really upset us in some way. And then we isolate them at a time when their fear and their shame and their anxiety is actually pulling them towards us in order to feel safe emotionally and physically again. So it causes a cycle of suffering that is completely unnecessary. So then I went on to watch some clips by I think he's an early years teacher, and he runs through 25 tips or strategies that he uses with his children all the time when he's teaching them and working with them, to be very clear with them about what behavior he wants and what he doesn't. And he talks a lot about ignoring children's behavior and really praising up the children who are doing the kind of behavior that he wants. Now, again, that doesn't sound totally unreasonable, but this is the 21st century and it's 2018. And actually, what the brain science and all the research is showing us is, again, that's quite a cruel, disrespectful thing to do to children. So the children who are giving him behavior that he doesn't want, they're the very children who need him to down tools a bit and be extra compassionate, not to be made to feel even more different and as if they're difficult and bad by him ignoring them and pouring praise on the children who happen to be able to conform to his set of rules. Because you know what? If we work with children, we really should know that that's unkind at best and is not keeping up with current research and current neuroscience, which shows us that children always do better when they are taught in a compassionate, connecting, aspirational way, and not given a version of dog training, which is what Super Nanny and this other guy who I can't even remember his name, his strategies equate to. When you're good and you please me, then you'll get my attention or you'll get some other stupid sticker or something. And when you displease me, then I'll either completely withdraw my intention from you or I'll target you and shame you in some way. That's not okay. And as professionals, we have to do better than this because children spend a lot of time with us and they really, really want to connect with us and please us and get along, because that's what we're all wired for. And if that's not happening, then it's for us to dig deeper. It's not to make the children suffer more. So if you're ready to go on a different journey, then check out my website. There's loads of blogs there to help you on it. allthews.thejanevans.com. And if you want to follow my tweets, I regularly tweet about things like this. It's at Jane Parenting with a number 2 on the end. And if you want help to reduce your own stress so that you can be more compassionate and more emotionally available to the children, then check out my Harness Stress for Success Facebook group. Because when we all work together and we have a clear focus on only using an unconditional approach that relies heavily on compassionate teaching, then we do the best service to every child. And that knocks Super Nanny and all these other idiots out of the picture, because we then are prioritizing what nature always intended, which is for the adults to be loving teachers in children's lives.